And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the High Elves, the Dark Elves. You know what, Lizardman, I'll give you guys a shout out today. I think I'm cool with y'all for the moment. Don't get too cocky on me. And you know what, if you represent the Demon Spawn, maybe the Shadowkin, or maybe if you're someone that's jonesing for a new mythical, I got a special shout out for you guys as well. Thank you for stopping by in today's video, where here in our video game division, we have 3 more new champions. Coming to Raid Shadow Legends, 2 Legendaries and a new Mythical. Oh, it's gonna be pretty epic, but you know what? Maybe not as epic as my new player giveaway. If you use that link down below in the video description dungeon, you'll be able to get Tayrel. Maybe if you scan that QR code of Infinite Knowledge as well, we'll get you some freebies. And when you hit level 15, we're gonna be able to get you Rector Drath as well. She's been doing overtime for me lately, baby. And as always, big thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this series. If you do use my link, helps me out a ton. Not enough to get me a mythical, but you know what, one of these days we are going to get a mythical. Eventually we'll get Lady Makash. She's on my list this year, but just the other day I just caught word this now. Here, we're the video gaming division. You need to tell me this when it drops. Thanks a lot, Gary. But a couple days ago we had confirmation of 3 more new characters aside from the new Unity that we're getting for the Dwarf faction, besides the Esme, which, by the way, happy Esme Fusion Day. Well, it's actually second day into it. Farming my spider den, doing my dungeon divers, all that stuff. Always be raiding. Got my 3-man setup cooking in the spider den right now. Probably should throw something in there to at least farm up food, but I digress. We have 3 more new things on top of that. We have Chalco the Blind, a new addition to the Demon Spawn faction. Arashi the Riptide, a new addition to the Shadowkins. And then we have Fjorad Wolfheart. It's a crime to have a J that early on in the name. I'm just saying. And this is gonna be for the Dwarves faction as well. Pretty wild looking dwarf, if you ask me. Pretty cool stuff that we got cooking. We're gonna take it step by step, show you what we got cooking. And hell, Hades already kind of gave his initial impressions on what he thinks these champions rank overall. But of course, you gotta get in their hands to really see it. Arashi the Riptide and Chalco the Blind are 2 new legendaries that have just been added to the game. And both are boosted into some of these events during the CVC. And in the spotlight, we break down everything you need to know about them and whether or not they're worth pulling for. So we have Arashi the Riptide, is an HP based damage dealer from the Shadowkin. From our testing, he is a weak damage dealer for Hydra. I mean, how do I want to get it on this testing. What is this, man? 28 speed, arena speed aura is very powerful. As an HP damage dealer, he is tanky and doesn't need buffs to hit max damage. Easy to fit into the arena teams. His A1 buff still combos with Lady Makash in the arena. Here's his abilities. His A1 does low damage but has great utility for stealing buffs. His A2 ignores Stone Skin, which right now is very powerful in arena. It's pretty much, there's only 2 things that cause me problems as an Armand's elitist with 3 Armands. Basically a faster Arbiter and Stone Skin are basically my 2 biggest things. You can easily one-shot squishy champions with this and can even kill tanky champions if given good gear. No, what's the Stone Skin? What's the other one? The other one, the one that prevents the debuffs, Gary. Come on, figure it out. You got 2 seconds. You didn't figure out, then why are you here? Okay, anyways. His A3 is decent AoE attack, but it's a 4-turn cooldown, boosting his max HP on kills is decent for arena and wave content, where it will give a decent boost to his survivability and damage, but it doesn't work against the Hydra. Then his passive is very juicy, giving a 20% chance to reflect debuffs and damage. This could easily keep him alive and one-shot an enemy damage dealer. His initial impression, based off his testing, I don't know what when can I test these guys out? Arashi is a strong HP damage dealer for arena who brings a great aura and a kit that is very easy to fit into teams. However, his damage is mediocre, which limits his usefulness in other areas of the game. Then we have Chalco the Blind. And Charco the Blind is going to be an attack-based damage dealer who scales off the number of debuffs placed on the enemy team. That seems pretty easy to manipulate. He brings solid debuffs himself with an AoE decreased speed, decreased defense, debuff spreading. That's going to be nice for this. He's immune to the most enemy CC abilities and even counterattacks them, giving him a powerful niche against such champs. Very high potential damage, reliant on debuff heavy teammates. That's not that hard to do, I think. Incredible for Hydra. I can imagine Chimera is Cedra. His A1 ignores 10% defense, an additional 5% per debuff and on the target, and steals 10% turbid, which is nice. He has a 50% chance to repeat this attack against a second target who has 2 or more debuffs. Potentially can reach 100% ignore defense with the right gear, relic, and area bonus setup. His A2 places block passive skills. That's nice, and decreased defense on the first hit. Then spreads all the debuffs on the second. You're speaking my lingo right now. This is a long 4-turn cooldown, but it gives an extra turn if it kills an enemy, and he can cast this move for free with his passive. But we're not done yet. His A3 is his main AoE attack, giving him increased accuracy, decreasing enemy buffs by 2 turns, and placing decreased speed. And then his passive, oh boy, incredibly strong, making him immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, truth. That's kind of a lot of good stuff there, right? And petrification. And if an enemy tries to place one of these debuffs, he immediately counterattacks with his A2. This rips through the head of Torment, the fear head. Yeah, I've been getting a lot more serious about the Hydra lately, and I'm looking at this like, dang, I want this. Then he gains 5% damage, up to a 50% cap per debuff placed on the enemy team, though this resets after each of his turns. Hell Hades, through his initial test, I'm guessing through a dev build or something, however he gets the stuff early on, 9.5 out of 10. I don't know about you, that's pretty darn close to a perfect score from his initial impressions. Chalco is possibly the best damage dealer in the game for Hydra after Trunda. You know, I put out a video today getting some tips from a pro on how to beat the Hydra, and I saw Trunda for the first time there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want that. I wouldn't be mad if I got this, and is likely amazing for upcoming Faction Wars content, Chimera, and more. He's a good arena damage there, but it's let down by being squishy and reliant on debuffs, therefore very vulnerable to polymorph. Definitely a champion to feel good about polling. So I would love to get, I mean, don't get me wrong, Arashi looks okay from a kit perspective. This looks amazing from a kit perspective. And then we also have ourselves, besides Chalco the Blind, besides Arashi the Riptide, we have some more dwarf love. We just got the confirmation of a unity that was just last week. Now we're also getting Fjorad Wolfheart, Mythical. I just love the transformation. Although, granted, I feel like there are cooler champions that have the mythical transformation. Still pretty cool nonetheless. We have Fjorad Wolfheart, a mythical champion from the Dwarves faction, embodies the balance between fire and ice. Though he wields a flame cloak totem and an axe, his true power lies in the cold magic that courses through him, raising the mountain among wolves. I'm just gonna call him F. Mr. F always felt more beast than dwarf. His strength did not go unnoticed, and in recognition of his abilities, he was granted an ancient power that reshaped him entirely. In an instant, fire gave way to ice, his skin took on a frozen blue, and Torment gifted him an axe capable of freezing enemies solid. At his base form, this form emphasizes crowd control with freeze debuffs, but Mr. F also provides essential utility for a variety of encounters. His A3 applies freeze, decreased speed to all enemies, then grants him an extra turn, allowing him to either metamorph into his alternate form or use another skill entirely. This makes it an ideal setup for transitioning into his alternate form, where he can ignore more defense and apply block revive. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you get a little bit of balance. You get some more defensive control stuff with the freeze, but if you switch over, you get a bit more aggressive offensive-based things. Alternatively, it can be used purely for control, particularly against the Galen Pack champions who remain frozen for 2 turns. His A2 grants block debuffs that increase speed to allies while reducing their skill cooldowns by 1 turn. Not bad. Cooldown manipulation is great. This makes him a valuable asset for battles where both speed manipulation and debuff protection are key, such as the Hydra, Hard Fire Knight. By accelerating ally skill rotation, slowing enemies, and using the freeze to disrupt turn meters, Mr. F provides strong team support. His utility extends beyond the PvE into arena where enemies that attack him have a chance to be frozen, and his A1 offers even more opportunities to apply freeze. And then in the alternate form, when he shifts to the frozen form, his playstyle transforms from crowd control to relentless offense, as we kind of said. Enemies previously frozen in his base form become primary targets for devastating attacks, maximize the synergy between both forms. And it makes sense, you know. You got to mix it up a little bit. You got some crowd control stuff, and you're ready to pop the bigger hits. Let's flip on over. Hit the switch, right? His A2 Icequake is an AoE attack that deals an extra hit to enemies under crowd control effects, reduce their max HP by 25% of the damage inflicted, up to 50%. And then he lowers their terminators by 25% to unlock its full potential, ensuring enemies are under freeze or another control effect, whether from his own abilities or an ally's, will significantly boost its impact. His A3 is a single target nuke that ignores 50% of the defense, 100% if they're frozen. And then if he kills the frozen enemy with this ability, they cannot be revived due to the block revive. To fully capitalize on this, he can set up his own freeze or be paired to champs like Torment, Gorgal. I have neither of those, I think, for added synergy. Listen, I'm happy I have my Geomancer and Demythia. I get mileage out of those two guys. Lastly, his passive ability punishes attempts to disrupt him if enemies try to increase the skill cooldowns. He counterattacks with his A1, and if he secures a kill, he resets the cooldowns of a skill, allowing him to cycle back into his powerful abilities faster. So, man, I mean, I love seeing these new mythicals, but it's like, man, you know, it's already, you know, legendaries already have a bit of a challenge getting a hold of. Man, these mythicals, I sometimes ask myself, will I ever be graced with the presence of a mythical? I can only hope. Besides Lady Because, which of course you can actually, you know, work towards her, you know, gotta hope you get the right champions to fuse together. But man, there will be a day, I'm feeling it this year. Maybe it's not gonna be Mr. Wolfheart here. Might be somebody else, but you know, whenever that day happens, it'll be an exciting one. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below, man. A lot of new champions coming to the game. Hopefully I can try to get my hands on one of them at some point. The only champion I got last time was, well, Mad Hatter, but you kind of have to work for that. And that's basically what I get. I get the fusion lately, and I get the free character of the, you know, the season, whatever it might be. But listen, RNGesus told me personally, we're going to be able to get this. And you know what? On top of that, RNGesus can promise you this. If you use my link down below in the video description, or that QR code of infinite knowledge up above, we're gonna be able to hook up a Tyrell, an epic champion. If you haven't heard the 5 million time at this point, I have like 20 of them. And then Rector Draft when you reach level 15. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Leave that like, comment down below, subscribe, so you're not missing a thing in our Rage Shadow Legends series that we're doing in the video gaming division. And until we meet again, I need you guys to remember one thing and one thing only, and that it's great to be in the Empire today. To be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.